Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, welcome to the December 20th edition of Basis Loaded with Joe Schmit. I am Joe Schmit. This episode, as always, is produced by Paige Driscoll with help from the EverAg Insights team. What we do here is break down the latest NDPSR report. Let's start this week with butter. This butter number coming in at 269.15 represents a plus 2 to the CME 1-week average of 267.25. So that's expected basis in butter. However, significantly less than butter basis has been running as of late. It is the high week at the CME. We had a little bit of an uptick before moving lower yet again. You would expect lower than normal basis on that high week. It'll be interesting, down 18 into next week's weekly average. We'll see how basis holds up in the weeks to come. We traded 8 loads at the CME last week, so not a whole lot of volume to give us a clue there, and also not a whole lot of volume here in the NDPSR report, coming in just north of 3.1 million pounds, almost 350,000 pounds under our expected weekly volume. Up next is cheese, and let's start with the blocks. 163.49, that represents a plus 6 to the CME 1-week average of 157.40. We traded 9 loads at the CME, so fairly light volume there. Fairly light volume on this NDPSR report as well. Failing to achieve our expected 12.5 million pound benchmark, coming in just a little bit short of 12.2. Plus 6 is higher than normal basis. However, basis in blocks has been running high as of late. So I would have to call this block price in line with expectations, while the block volume fell a little bit short. Up next, barrels, 158.63. That represents a plus 5 to the CME 2-week average of 153.02. We traded 27 loads at the CME at essentially a 150 price last week. So that probably went a long way in pulling that barrel basis down to the middle of our expected range, however, lower than recent weeks at plus 5. And even at that lower than expected price, the manufacturer still wasn't able to move expected volume, coming in short of our 13.5 million pounds, coming in short of even 13.4 million. Now, to achieve this 158.63, the CME 2-week average was up almost 5 cents here on the NDPSR, just a little bit over a penny. So that's the tightening basis. And then we were able to achieve that 153 level on the 2-week average before heading to the sub 140 level this week. So as prices at the CME move lower, I would expect that this barrel basis widens out once again, similar to the story in butter. NDPSR prices are slow moving with the volatility that we're seeing at the CME. That barrel basis will probably widen out somewhat, but I expect prices to continue to be somewhat disappointing. Up next is whey, 41.85. That's a plus 2 to the CME 1-week average of 39.80. We traded 2 loads at the CME last week, so not a lot to talk about there. What we do like to talk about is prior week's NDPSR. So we're going back to the December 2nd number of 41.23. So still able to pull a half-cent premium above prior week's NDPSR, and if you look at this volume, north of 5.5, still moving 1 million pounds over our expected 4.5 million pound level. So the whey continues to trend higher. However, every week, those gains become less and less as the NDPSR dry whey market appears to be running into some headwinds at this 41.42 cent level. And then lastly, non-fat, 119.96. That represents a plus 1 to the CME 1-week average of 118.60. We traded 6 loads on the CME last week, so light volume here on the NDPSR as well. Just barely surpassing the 17 million pound level. Expected price and lower than expected volume in non-fat seems to be the story. So this is week 3 of 5 for the December pricing cycle. Currently getting December class 3 of 1606, December class 4 all the way up at 1920. If you carry current CME equivalents all the way out through the January pricing cycle, which of course includes 2 4-day weeks, so limited trading days at the CME going into the final January price calculation, getting a January class 3 of 1495 and January class 4 up at 1917. We'll see what they have in store for us in the weeks to come at the CME. On behalf of Paige and the entire Insights team, I'd like to wish you a happy holiday season, and we'll see you next Thursday.